wanted to show you guys, this is kind of it's a nice kind of utility thing that I have. I put on the table sometimes, keep coins and rubber bands and stuff like that. But you can have this, if you have something like this, you can just keep it on the table and just use it. And it's just kind of nice, you know, just kind of a nice thing that I got. I'll tell you where to get it later. But I'm going to use these rubber bands a little later. So, let me move back. So you can see, you guys can see, right? Okay. So what maybe I'll just get into it, but the thing that I'm gonna end with is another one of those things that I came up with because I needed to find a way to do something. So that's what I'm gonna show you right now. So let's show the deck. And Aaron, go ahead and just say stop as I go through here.
Stop.
Okay, you want the ace, the queen, or the deuce?
I can't see the suits. Is the deuce or what? Oh, ace of hearts, easy.
Ace of hearts? Okay.
Big old heart.
You said, okay. And we make sure there's just one ace of hearts. This isn't one of those like magic decks and that type of thing. I don't want people to think that type of thing. This is the routine I perform for Lehman Bell when I do this. Okay, so you said stop pretty soon. That card was maybe about 33, I think about 33 from the top. It's actually an ambitious card. It's moving right now. It's about 27 from the 23rd from the top. It's actually 19th from the top. But whoa, the card, just doing this, it's 11 from the top. It's really amazing just how the card if I were to stop right now, it'd be 5th from, what's that? It's 3rd from what was your card?
Ace of hearts.
It's now made its way to the top as an ambitious card. Now, I'll show you how I did that. A lot of people know. All you have to do is take the ace, place it somewhere in the middle. Let's put it about halfway down. So it's not on the top, you know. And you just wait, you just snap. It's the snap that makes it come to the top. You just wait a little bit and, there it goes. Comes right to the top. Sound applause? No?
Absolutely.
No applause? Okay. All right. It doesn't even have to go in the middle. You can just take that and place it second. It really doesn't matter because watch very slowly. Boom.
Nice.
Come on. Okay. Oh, yay. Thanks, guys. Okay, let's do it one more time. Let's place the card in the middle. That is the ace of hearts, just so you can see. This in the middle. You can see that?
Mm-hmm.
You know, let's start over. Let's do it again. Thank you very much. Okay. Let's actually place it on the bottom, right here. So it's not on the top. All I do is I push the button, and the card takes the elevator and comes right to the top. It was sticky, so kind of stuck. Now, it doesn't have to take the elevator, guys. You can actually have the card take the escalator, still come to the top.
All right, yeah.
It just really... Now we're getting a little close. Now somebody say, Larry, you're doing these tricks, but you know, you're a magician, you know magic, you're manipulating the cards, you know. I said, okay, I'll tell you what, I'll use this rubber band. I won't manipulate the cards. I'll tie the deck up. I won't do anything. And we'll see, because all it is the snapping that makes it come to the top, right? So 1, 2, 3, cards.
Yeah.
It's really good. And that's kind of a couple of sequences of the ambitious card, you know, that I've kind of worked out. Oh, you know what? Let me show you guys. Oh, you know what? Aaron, do me a favor.
Yes, sir.
Go ahead and shuffle the cards. You take it.
Through the power.
Yes. Go ahead, shuffle.
Through the power of magic. All right, mixed.
Go ahead and cut them.
And more.
Okay. It's gonna be impossible, you guys. All you do is what? You snap, turn over the top card. Am I right?
7 of clubs.
7 of clubs. Well, something went wrong. Oh, you know what it is, guys. Sometimes I'm guilty of snapping too hard. You know what happens? Remember that utility box I told you about earlier? Or now there's something in it with those coins. I want you to see there's one little card in here, kind of folded up. And that card, of course, happens to be
Yeah. Nice.
Let's go. And of course,
Fantastic.
goes back in here where it belongs. There you go. Okay. Couple of ambitious.
Yeah, so that is an unbelievable, awesome ending with the rubber band there. Of course, you don't have to use it in your ambitious card routine. So there was a quite in-depth teach on this, which Larry got into, but you know, we've also got some touches that we're going to show you from Alex. Aaron, did you have something you wanted to add?
Well, I just wanted to let our members know that you can be checking out the entire Larry Wilmore lecture, where he's going to go into great detail on every single aspect of what he did there, plus so much more, including that incredible Mercury card fold substitution that he developed and all kinds of stuff there. Today, what we're going to focus on, right? Are you going to be sharing Larry's discussion of the rubber band trick itself? So we're going to watch Larry's discussion of the rubber band trick. Then we've been dissecting and deconstructing it. So Alex is going to be able to bring it to you in terms so simple that even I could understand. But let's check out Larry first.
Let me show you that, because this is one of my favorite effects. I use this thing all the time. It's impromptu. You can have a rubber band on your wrist. Someone asks to see a trick. You can do this with a borrowed deck. I did it in the ambitious part, which is great too. I actually did it in the close-up room, but I did a little different story. I talked about, you know, when I got into magic, Houdini was my hero. This is all true. That's one of the things I saturated myself, and I wanted to duplicate. And I said his trick Metamorphosis was the fastest trick in the world. In 3 seconds, you know, he switched places with his life. You know, did this, blah blah blah. I had this pattern for it, and I said, I'm going to attempt to beat that record, and we're going to find the card in the amount of time it takes to say Houdini. So that was my pattern for it. Yeah. So, and I think I just had one card. They picked it. This is the King of Clubs or whatever, and you can have any card. And I've done this with several cards too, where people can pick multiple cards or whatever. It really doesn't matter. And I said, okay, I'm going to tie up the deck just like Houdini was tied up. And the amount of time it takes to say Houdini, we're going to try to find that card. Okay, let's practice. 1, 2, 3. Houdini.
Houdini.
Okay, and the audience gets into this, so it's a good audience trick. You say 1, 2, 3, Houdini. Boom. And of course.
So awesome.
By the way, guys, let me just show you one other thing before I tip it too. This works with multiple cards too, you know. Let's get the 4 kings. Like the 4 aces look fantastic in this, you know. But let's say you have 3 or 4 selections, or the last 2 selections or whatever. You can place these different parts of the deck just to be proper magician. I couldn't just do it. I actually had to do this part of it or whatever.
I appreciate your efforts, man.
Yeah, exactly. You know, all mixed up, so, you know, might be a king there, maybe a king there, maybe a king down here. Who knows? King there. Kings are hiding everywhere, right? We don't know. So I'm going to try to find the 4 kings by not doing anything. All I'm going to do is tie my hand to the deck. I'm not going to do a thing. You know what? Because I'm tired of doing magic. You guys do some of the words. Say the magic word. Abracadabra. Boom. And now you found all 4 cards. You're going to display them like that. It's a beautiful display with multiple selections. It's like, you pick that card, you pick that card, you pick that card, you pick that card. I'm tired. I'm not doing any more magic. You guys do all the magic. It's a great closer, all that kind of stuff. So all this is getting the card. Let me come up close. This is not my trick. I learned this years ago. I'm not even sure whose it is, but I'm happy to teach it to you. So I apologize for that. So you have to get whatever card you're going to have come to the top, get it to the bottom, okay? Or if it's several cards, get several cards to the bottom. Like what I just did with that little multiple shift action. Once it's on the bottom, you want to get a break under the bottom card. Many easy ways to do that. I just kind of pull it down as I'm talking or whatever. If it's multiple cards, you can do what I just did. Say it could be here, could be here, could be here. And then as you spread the last part, spot your 4. And then as you put it back, just leave it, just out jog like that a little bit so you have a natural break. Just a natural way to do it. That's how I did it the last time. Hard to pull down 4 cards, right? So let's do it with 1 card. So you get a break there. So what you're going to do is the rubber band is going to go into that break. sorry, the rubber band's gonna go into that break under that card. See? Let me hold my hand here. Rubber band is gonna go. See the card here?
Yeah. So you're putting the rubber band around the deck, and the selection is free.
Correct. So, okay, so it comes here, and right now the card is on the bottom, and the rubber band is around the deck. Card is on the bottom by itself. Hopefully I can do this slow. Oh God, I have to do it fast. Let me do it fast real quick.
All right.
Okay, so it's there, and then you're gonna turn it, and you're gonna come. Oh God, guys, I can't do this slow. I'm so sorry. I have to do it fast real quick, and then I'll know what I'm doing.
Okay.
I can't even understand books with tricks like this in them.
No. So, all right, there. How does that look, by the way? It looks good, right?
Looks every time. It looks like magic. It never hangs up. It never does any of the shit rubber band stuff does.
It looks like magic. Okay. All right, I'm going to try to do it slow, all right? All right, so it's under here, and then you fold it like that, and then you put the finger in here, and then you come back like that, I believe. I think. And then you let the finger go. No, see, I can't, guys. I don't know if I can teach this. I'm supposed to do slow.
Maybe if you do it real slow.
There it is. Okay, so afterwards, okay, so I'm learning how to do this.
Awesome.
I forgot I was going to teach this, so I didn't go over it first, you know.
You're like,
And then
slow.
here, and then it turns. Then this comes here. Then it does that. And then this finger's going to have to get out as this goes underneath. This finger, see who's holding that?
Yeah.
And it's going to let it go. And when it does that, see, there's a gap here. There's no rubber band around the deck here.
Right.
It's here. Right now, the rubber band is really only around this card.
Okay. So you're holding it in place. It wants to spring out. Okay.
What you're really doing, the illusion is that you're wrapping the deck. But in reality, what you're doing is you're just wrapping it around one card. Okay? That makes sense? Okay. So that's probably a little easier to understand.
That helps. Yeah, that helps.
So what you're doing is you're coming out and you're doing this. Finger goes in because it needs to hold that. You turn it again and you come back around, place it around the deck. It looks like you place it around the deck twice, but this is holding the secret in place because it won't allow the rubber band to do it. But
When you pull that finger out, that's when it collapses and it's just on that single card.
That's exactly right. And my hand goes under there at that time.
Okay.
It comes out, it's under the single card. And what's going to happen is the card is going to flip over onto my hand. Flip over. So really slow, it does that.
Wow.
Sensational.
And you said you don't remember where this is from?
No, I learned it years ago.
Okay.
It may be a John Rackenbauer thing. I'm not sure.
Well, Andrew says that there's a teach of it on John Armstrong's lecture DVD. So,
I don't know if it's John. I don't think it's John's move though. Nothing, you know.
Well, I'm sure he gives credits. I'm just saying if you want to if you want a schematic.
Yeah, no, I wasn't suggesting that yet. But because I think I knew at one point, but I just forgot, you know. But it's so clever, guys. It's so utilitarian. You could use it. You could get out of a situation. Let's say you guessed the wrong card. Where was your card? Get it to the bottom. Say, I don't know how this happened. You know what? I'm never going to do magic again. I'm just going to tie this up. You know, that's all. I refuse, you know. In fact, next time I'm just, whoa, wait, what did you say?
It's got to be after Charles Jordan, right? There's nothing in that book that strong. That's really strong.
Which one?
You know, I just remembered like all those rubber band tricks that appear in the Charles Jordan books, like way back. But they're those tricks that hang up and sandwich a card. You know, this thing looks like it's got to be 10, 20, 30 years later.
There's another rubber band trick where the deck twists like that and then it goes under.
Yeah.
The whole thing. I never really liked that one. It was a little too just.
Right. It propels it out. It just propels it out and it's like side jogged or like.
Yeah, it kind of twists around. This to me is beautiful. You know, when that card comes, it's just beautiful because it happens so fast, you know.
It's startling. Yeah.
Clive and Ben want to
They
know.
they hold out their hand and you slap their hand and that card's up there. It's like, what the fuck just happened? Now a little subtlety. I'll show it again, but I'll show you a little subtlety at the end. Oh, by the way, here's another thing. Here's a really great use for it, right? So let's put it in the card box, right? Cards go in the card box. You can see. Okay. Now we're gonna put it around the right? There's no way I can get to that card box.
That's so cool.
No way! There's your 9 of diamonds.
That's awesome.
The card box with the rubber band still around it. There you go. Hand it out. It's all good. So doing it out of a card box is really a lot of fun, you know.
Larry, you are so awesome, man. I'm having so much fun. You got such great magic, man.
Oh, thanks. It's so much fun. Well, this is impromptu stuff, too. So let me show you the card box, guys, because, in fact, this is probably the way you should do it. So card box, always put it in with the flap this way, not this way, okay? So you get the break here, right? And just put the flap right there.
Nice.
Right?
Yes.
Put the cards in and say, you know what? I can't find your card. Let's just put the cards up. Like the trick is over. Meanwhile, cards at the bottom, right? Let's just put it up. Is that right? Or it should be facing this way. Maybe put it in the other way. Yeah, it should have gone in the other way, I think, because the card should be facing that way when you put it in. So the card's like that, right? But if it's face down, whatever. Now you do the fold. Now what's great is that where's this fucking card gonna come from at this point? Excuse me, excuse my French. You know what? It's there. Now here's a little subtlety. Okay, it didn't get in there all the way. Here's a little subtlety. Hand them the card. As you hand it to them, this part of the rubber band goes like that as you take your hand off, and it just looks like the rubber band was always on there the whole time. So now someone trying to reconstruct is just looking at that thing and it's like, what the hell just happened, you know? And
Right.
you could do the same with the deck also too. It's a nice little subtlety. You know, I just like these little subtleties sometimes, even if nobody ever questions it or whatever, you know.
It makes it into an impromptu, impossible object. That's great.
Exactly. So if you do it with the deck, you know, 1, 2, 3, boom. So hand them the card, and then, you know, you can say, got that there. You can put that down while you're setting up your next trick, and that's just sitting there with the rubber band. That's just sitting there like an asshole with the rubber band around it. Like you're never gonna figure me out.
That's awesome.
You know, Larry shared so much incredible magic, and you could really, it was very typical of a first-time guest lecturer when we have our living room lectures, because, you know, Larry has performed obviously in all kinds of amazing situations, and so he lubed up and got warmed up faster than just about anybody because he's used to being in all kinds of situations. But you could see at this point in the lecture, he was really just starting to, you know, he doesn't think of himself as a magic lecturer, right? And he, as he said, most of the time he gives lectures, it's on comedy writing, you know, on how to produce a television show. But once, of course, we were in the show for about an hour or so, he started to realize all the things he had to share. And we had this rollicking 2.5 hour mega call. Now, in that entire call, right, the only trick that, because Larry, you know, he's a real genius. He hadn't given a lot of thought to how to teach that rubber band trick over the course of his life. So you could see in real time, he was sharing all this stuff and he's going, I never really thought how to describe this before. So what we're going to do now is we're going to, everyone grab your rubber band, grab your cards, and Alex is going to step by step show you exactly how to do this rubber band production. And you know, Ron mentioned that the rubber band cutting the rubber band card out of the deck. That's an old J.C. Wagner trick from his wonderful book, The Commercial Magic of J.C. Wagner. And while I've always loved J.C.'s trick, I really like this production more than anything. In terms of a card trick and a rubber band production, I don't think it gets any better. And Kendall, I'll just say, my mother recently suggested, who's been staying with us for the last couple of weeks because we're having a little quarantine, she said, well, you can always pull one out of the face masks. And I went, No, we're building a lot of wonderful face mask magic, but we're gonna wait. We're not currently down with PPE.
I'm with you, man. This is like top-notch rubber band magic. Like some people love to just do stuff with 2 rubber bands or 1 rubber band, but this combines the best. That production is amazing, and I have a feeling we're about to learn it in such a way that we're all going to be able to do it easily. Isn't that right, Alex?
It's true. It's really true.
No pressure, Alex.
Yeah, that's usually my introduction. I'm used to it now. So the thing about it is you want to use a smaller rubber band if you can. I know everybody's sort of not near a stationery store, and it's tough to get these things at this point. Normally for Magic, we're using the number 19 rubber band because that works best for these, linking rubber band tricks. This thing, because it's a smaller rubber band, it makes that card spring into view quicker. So it's better to have a smaller rubber band, even if it's like a rubber band you get on the newspaper. If you still get the newspaper delivered, that's usually a smaller rubber band. It's just going to have more traction, and it's going to grab that card and make it pop into view better. So for what it's worth, get yourself a number 16. You probably can order them online. That's probably going to be the best you can do at this point. The other thing to keep in mind is when you're doing this, don't use your best deck of cards right now. This thing is going to grab cards and it's going to put little dings in them, especially when you're learning it, because in the beginning, when you're learning this, you're going to be a little bit heavy-handed with this. You're going to be pulling tighter. You're going to be, just putting more work into it. Having said that, in addition to the deck, get a little handful of rubber bands, right? Because as you do this, they're going to break. You're going to go through it, and I'm finding that now I'm getting pretty good at it. I can get about 20 springs out of a rubber band before it just snaps on me and it's over. So those are the things you should know going into it. Other than that, I think we should probably just get into the hand positions here and we can start doing it. I hope that everyone has some rubber bands around and has a deck of cards. So I'm going to forego the control part, just assume that whatever the card is on the bottom is going to be the card, but obviously you need to do a card control it to the bottom. And then you'll get a break above that card by either pulling down with your pinky or buckling and getting a break so that card is loose, the selection is loose. And now the rubber band is the game here, because you're going to wrap that rubber band around the deck, and there's a specific way you want to do this. First of all, I start like this, like a claw, so that I can come in around the deck and then pull away with my fingers at the extreme right end. That's important, as you'll see in a second here. So again, I put that around the entire deck with the exception of the selection. So the selection is free, band is around the entire deck. You're going to pull your hand to the extreme right. Now, here's something to pay attention to, because if you do this part backwards, it will not come loose and the card will never spring. And in fact, you'll have the band around the deck. It'll just lock it in place. The top band is the upper band. The lower band is the one you don't want to pay attention to. This upper band, you want to pay attention to it in this way. I'm going to twist my hand and bring so my palm is towards me. And when I've done that, the upper band is the front band of the two. That's important. If you do it the opposite way and that lower band is the front band of the two, it locks up and it won't work. So position check, just make sure that you're bringing that hand far away and towards yourself so that this top band twists forward. That's the frontmost of those two strands. So once I have that there, I'm forming a little X here because I've twisted that band on itself. That's the point where you put your middle finger in and you grab, right? And once you have that, now you untwist what you have here, and that makes a bit that goes around that middle finger. So basically that middle finger is trapped in that little bite of rubber band. That's the end game. That's what you're looking for that middle finger to make this whole thing work. I'm going to start it over. I just want to show you this one more time here, just so you understand that's what you're shooting for. So again, I'm going to just start the whole thing over. And if you're already there or you think you're close enough, start from there. Put the band around the deck. Again, that upper band, I'm going to twist so that my palm is now facing towards me, and that upper band is now frontmost of the two. That's the X. That's where that middle finger goes in. Now I untwist this hand, and that's how I get that bite there. Now, once I have that, this band here is going to be what goes around this entire configuration in my left hand. But know this, at the end of this, I'm going to transfer all of it to my right hand. Just keep that in mind. So I bring this around, and when I bring it around the hand, here's what I'm shooting for. I'm shooting for getting this band to sit right between that first and second finger and come around the top knuckle of this knuckle here of my thumb. Let me do that. It goes around like this, the whole deck, and it's like this. Now look, it's right there around that first knuckle there, and it comes up on the second knuckle, and I have not let go with my fingers. There's a reason for this, because I'm going to put my hand into that gap. And the way I do that is by transferring this whole grip to my thumb, just like this, letting my hand slip out, and then go underneath the band. Now this is the point, just a position check here, that middle finger's trapped that whole bit of band there. It's going around my first finger and around my thumb. I'm going to take over control with my right hand, but as I do that, that middle finger slips out of that little bit there. And when it does that, the deck slips so that it's going around my hand, underneath my hand, to the side, and it's on just this single card right here. And that's what's going to make it propel and spin around onto my hand. There's a lot there, so let me go through that again. And if there's any questions as I'm going through this, please feel free to ask. But I think you guys are with me here. After what we saw Larry do in these little details, I think everyone's going to have this thing. So again, get that break below or above that bottom card of the deck. I twist forward, bringing my palm towards myself, get that bite with the middle finger, untwist. Now this whole band goes around my hand and the deck, sitting in those positions that I mentioned before. I'm still holding it like this. I transfer everything to my thumb so that my hand can then go inside of that. Now, here's the thing. I'm going to let that middle finger slip out of here. And when I do that, I generally bring my hand over a little bit so that there's nothing to be seen, right? So that's free now. And once that's done, you need to make sure that your first finger and your thumb are grabbing that bottom card. Otherwise, it'll slip out and side jog on you. But once you have that, now I'm in position for that card to spring into view. And I'll do it first on the table so you can see what's happening. Just like that. It springs into view. It's a beautiful thing. There's a trick about that, though. You need to make sure that, first of all, you have enough space between the table and your hand so that that card has enough room to flip out and hit the back of your hand before you hit the tabletop. Second of all, when you're doing this, note, I'm just going to set it up once real quick, and I'll show you that it can be set up really quick here. I'm just going to do it once real quick to show you another position check here. Once you get it around, you can set this whole thing up pretty quick so that you have the band around the deck and everything's ready to go. The other thing is that I have my thumb here sort of trapping that card. I have my fingertips starting with that first finger. I transfer it to that grip so that I have a claw-like grip, and I'm holding that card there. One of the things about this is that you have to make your hand flat. If you don't make it flat, it can get caught on that thumb, it can get caught on any of these fingers, and you won't get the full revolution. It won't snap to the back of your hand. It'll sometimes hit the side of your hand. So make sure that when you come down, you make your hand extend and go flat as possible. And I think I just had too much tension there and held it for too long, and that's why that didn't work. Let me do it one more time, and I'll show you what I mean. You want to make that hand go flat, because that's the one way that you can hang up on this and make the whole thing just not work. And do it one more time here. Okay. Make that hand flat. Right as it comes.
I've got a big question, right?
Yes.
So at the very beginning, when the rubber band is around the deck, when you insert your hand here, Alex, and you pull out, where in your decked hand, where is that rubber band coming out through? Is it coming out between these two fingers? Yes. Is your middle finger behind it?
Nope, you were right the first time. It's right between those two middle fingers. And let me do that slow, and I'll be a little bit more descriptive here as I'm setting that up. So I put it around, and I've captured, basically have that one, the bottom card not within the rubber band. It's coming right through these two middle fingers. And now watch my hand here. When I twist so that my palm is towards myself, there's that little X. And that's when I put that middle finger in there, right? Now I untwist, and that middle finger is trapped now in that little bite right there.
Got it.
So now this whole thing comes around my hand like this, and it gets trapped in that knuckle so that it can't slide off. And I put it behind that knuckle on the thumb, lift my thumb up while still maintaining all this tension here, right? Now it's around the deck. Now I put my thumb in there to hold it open so that my hand can go in. My right hand can go in, and then I can grab the whole deck. And that's when that middle finger gets free from that bite of the rubber band. And then I can take the deck into a full position that I'm going to use to actually make the production happen. And in addition to the table, you can do it on your hand. So you can do it walk around, which is pretty wonderful. Any other questions before I go through it again? Ooh, one more time slowly. I'll do it.
Yeah. And while you're doing that slowly, just answer this. If I'm able to get it to pop, come up around, but not fully, there's too much slack at the end. Is that because you were saying it needs to be
a big rubber band? Yeah, that's a big rubber band.
So that's what's going to happen if you use too big of a rubber band. There won't be enough. There'll be too much slack at the end, right?
Let me show you this too. I have some 19s here just so that we can compare. Because I do tricks with 19s all the time. I'm sure many of you do. They're the ones that you buy the first giant bag of. This is really the size difference between the two, right? It's like almost half the size. So the number 16 is the one you're really after. But like I said, often they have that size 16. That's what paper deliverers will use to wrap those. And they're a thicker band, which actually probably is helpful for this because it won't break as quick. So there it is. All right, so let's go through this thing again slowly. So again, cards returned, controlled to the bottom, and then I get that break above that bottom card. Now I get the rubber band, and I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna get rid of this one because I think it's about ready to break. Get a nice new one, and the nice new one make them pop a little bit better too. When you start to see things not popping the way they should, it's generally a sign that it's time to switch bands. So again, that goes around the whole deck. And I come between these two middle fingers with the band. I pull this away and I twist forward. Again, so that front band, or the top band is the front band. That's when the middle finger goes in, and I'm holding that there. I undo my twist, and that's what creates that bite in the rubber band that the middle finger is holding there. Now this whole thing comes around the whole deck, and I aim for that first knuckle there between the first and second finger. I aim for that knuckle because it's sort of like a track. And that band can't come out of there. Plus, I have all this tension here. I never let go. I never let go with my right hand. Then I can switch my my right thumb to take over that tension, hold that tension so that my whole right hand can go into that rubber band. And then I can take control of the deck, making sure that that bottom card stays in place. And that's the moment when I can pull out that middle finger so that everything pops into place as it should be. And then I'm into the production.
Alex, so something happened just now where, like, I don't know where the card went. I'm looking through the deck and it's not even in there. So I'm not even sure where the card is right now.
It's working and you just don't know it.
It actually is the most easy back palm ever video. This is amazing, dude. I just learned it really easily with your instruction. Thank you.
Oh, great. Well, it's working.
So much.
How about everyone else? Put some ones in there if this is working out on your end so we have some direction and know where to go next.
Very curious. We've got a lot of comments about what a great, even Ron Porter, excellent explanation.
Perfect.
Everyone is loving it. I think we're going to want to do it again. Who out there put a one like me if you literally didn't put rubber bands, magic rubber bands, 19s, whatever, in your magic plague kit? Because I, for one, tried to tell the state troopers recently that my magic rubber bands were totally necessary purchase, but it was a tough sell. Anyone else? Mike's having issues getting rubber bands or doing the actual thing. So I think Mark Spitzer says on this explanation, let's really dig in to the left-right orientation so that we can keep it clear for us all the way through. Maybe do a quick demo first, too.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. Rolando, do you want to get some in there before you start?
So I'm fine up until the twist around the other hand. That's where I get lost.
Okay. Okay.
Everything else, I got the finger forward, the right rubber band. I twist it back, and then when I try and come around the deck is where I get hung up.
Okay. Well, let's see what we can do there and make sure that we get enough detail so everyone catches up. So again, have that break, put the band around the card, and everyone seems to be doing okay with the twist, getting that bite with the middle finger. Now, here's what happens. This left hand is holding everything. That left middle finger has the bite. The right hand is going to take this band and put it around the left hand. But when it does that, here, I'm aiming for this knuckle right here so that this band, the bottom part of this band, basically the band, part of the band that's right next to my little finger, that's what's going right on that knuckle. That's what's going right on that first knuckle. And then I bring it back and pull back, and that's when I'm keeping that tension, right? So my right hand, those fingers are keeping that tension there. And if you look, you'll see that this is the situation, right? That middle finger's there. If I pull that out, we go back to where we're supposed to be, which is just having that rubber band around that one card, right? If you're not getting that situation when you're doing it, it means that the bottom band is going first and that it's not coming loose. It means you need to pay attention to that twist, that first twist that we do. Because when I first learned this, obviously Larry doesn't say anything about anything with the bands and all of that stuff. And I was doing it, and like 50% of the time I was getting this situation. I'm going to do it wrong once so you understand what I'm talking about. I would get this situation. I'd put the thing around the deck and I would let go. And then, no, it worked that time. Huh. I don't know why. Okay, let's do it again though. Let's go slow.
Yeah.
Goes in here.
Todd says he's getting lost when you put your hand around the other hand. So maybe pay extra special
So
attention.
when I do a twist here, that's when I get that middle finger on that first X. I untwist, and that's what makes that bite exist for the middle finger. Now this band here, that's the whole thing. That's going around my left hand. I'm just coming around my left hand like this. And when I come around, I'm dropping that bottom part of the band right there. So it's in the knuckle of that first finger and it's around the top. That's it, right? I could come off and go right back in. That is the whole thing. It goes around like that. And that's step 2 basically, right? Or step 3 after that twist of getting the bit of the middle finger. That goes around like that. And now when you're in this position, that's when that right thumb can take over to allow the whole right hand to go in, take over the deck so that you can then do the production. What can I do to clear it up here?
Well, I actually, if you don't mind, may I take a shot at explaining how I feel as though maybe. So what was tripping me up is that everything Alex is saying is right. I'm here at this position. So I turn down, stick the finger in, turn back up, right, Alex? I've got the bite now, okay?
Yep.
Now I'm going to widen, right? I'm going to widen the whole thing, right? And it's about to go in. It's about to go around. So notice it's going around everything. It's going around the finger at the bottom. It's going around the thumb at the top.
Yep.
It's going around all of that. And so when I let that go, I can actually, you said not to let it go, but I noticed that as long as I hold the pressure there with the bite and the thumb, it stays, right?
But you got to transfer that thing to the other hand.
Right. Oh, you do. Right. You have to insert and then move it over there to that hand. I got you. Okay. All right. So sorry if I wasn't spotlighting.
No, I pinned you.
Oh, you did?
Got it. Yeah, everyone got it. I think we're there, and it looks like a couple people.
Right. Okay. So let's try it one more time. Okay. So Alex, you don't mind, do you? Because I have one other point I want to clear up with you too that I have to ask about. So here I am, right? My band's coming out there. I go this way, stick the thumb in, come back, and now this whole thing is going to go around. Notice it's going around the finger and on top of the thumb. So it was like he's saying, you can come around on the whole thing or off. So you go right around and on. And then I'm just going to let go for clarity because that's the position I'm in, right? It's still around my finger and my thumb. Now, I know you're not supposed to let go, but that's what I'm saying. So, Alex, the one question I had for you is this, and maybe you can get back to explaining the other part, but really it's at the very beginning. And this, Alex, this is one of those little things that like you don't really think about sometimes when you're getting into this. But what I have found to be snagging me up a little bit is when I'm putting the rubber band on with that brake. So as the rubber band goes under that brake, right? For some reason, it's wanting to snag up at the other corner and grab more cards.
Yeah, I have a tip on that.
Okay, thank you. That's the part I really, really need now.
Sure. So here's the thing. So when I get that brake, I've been turning this thing so that I can show you that it's going on. But if I do it from the front, you do this. Right? I pull that whole thing down. I pull it all the way down so that I can get in there. if that makes sense, right? And from the front, they can't see that because you're just, you know, you're pulling it down, the thing goes around, and I'm almost like lifting the deck up a little bit so that I get a clear view of that thing going right in so that it can easily go on. Then I can let it all collapse and then twist it and then twist it. And then again around the hand. And I want to show something else here. There was a question in the Q&A. Once I put my hand in here and I take over the deck and I release that middle finger, that's what the band looks like on that card, right? It's both of these strands are basically as close as I can get them to being lined up to each other. So that's basically going around the middle of that card. And let me do this, right? You can see it's right on the middle of that card. I'm basically trying to get those bands next to each other when I do the thing. I know it's tough to do with all this tension on the deck to be able to show all the angles, but let me see if I can get a better angle here to show it. Release with that middle finger. And you can see those two bands, they're running as close as I can get them to be right next to each other so that I can get this picture, right? Because if that band's on the middle, it's going to make sure that when it springs around that the band stays in the middle. And when you practice this, you'll notice that sometimes you get this, where the band's at one of the ends. That's what makes that happen. If you don't have it as close as you can to the middle of it, sometimes it'll be close to a corner or it will just completely spring out. So that's what causes that. So you want to make sure that you get that band as close as you can to the middle portion of that card when you undo it.
Rolando, did you have any problem learning it today?
No. And actually the trick, I think Todd had the same issue that I did. Where I was getting hung up was I was forgetting to transfer it to the other hand. Once I transferred it to the other hand, then it started popping up. I was keeping it in the left hand, my left here, right? Going through the whole thing and then wrapping around. And yes, it would release, but it wouldn't pop. It was that motion to take it over with the right hand. And once I got that down, then it started popping.
Right. You need to have that distance. Otherwise, if you don't do that throw, then there's no way for that thing to pop out and do the magic thing that we're trying to make happen, right?
Well, no, actually, it's more than that. It pops automatically. The distance and everything else, you're right about it. But what I was doing was I was taking it over and not putting it all the way in this hand and not transferring the hand. Once I could transfer the hand to the right hand, then it just sits there and
Gotcha.
There it is.
Hey, that's amazing. It looks so good. We just had a comment come in from Anton over on the Facebook, on the YouTube stream. And he said that Shutagawa showed this trick to him and had him as the spectator put his hand through the band and hold the deck. And then he said that as the spectator dropped the deck, that card popped around on the back of the spectator's hand.
That's fun. That's a fun thing to play with. Why not? That seems cool. I'm more of a control freak. I would never put it in someone's hand, but hey, if that turns you on, I say go for it and work it out. Figure out what you need, because you're gonna have to definitely pay attention to how the spectator holds a thing. Otherwise, when you put it in their hand, it's immediately just going to spring out. But yeah, that seems like a cool idea. I would definitely chase that down if it turns you on. That's neat.
What a great trick. Thank you for the very clear and concise explanation on it. This is one of those, Alex, I fear this is one of those that I would have never learned if you hadn't have done a deep dive for us and really figured out the little details in it. So thank you so much for doing that.